Rob J gave me an incredibly generous 1 year's worth of subscriptions on Patreon and brings you today's video. Ketramos the New Dawn versus Faldorn, Ulalak and Merrin. A bracket 3 game for us here, and we have a 3-lander, so it's slow, but we've got decent cards in hand, so I'll just try keeping it. Not often rewarded for going very fast in Commander nowadays. Turn 1 Worldly Tutor for the Gruul player. Tutors onto the top of his library a Party Thrasher. And we see another land in Urza's Cave, so it's the typical turn 1 Surveyor land. On top of the library, another land I think we're okay to throw in the bin. Although having said that, we could have better fixed our black mana with this at least, but I'm sure we'll draw into another land at some point soon. Viscera Seer for Merrin. Ulalak trying to construct Urzatron. Wanted to play Party Thrasher on turn 2, hence the turn 1 Tutor. Alright, we've got a turn 2 Charming Prince, a turn 2 play to make here, so let's fix some of our draws. We'll just go for the Scry 2 on that. Alright, well, they're pretty good. An Orzhov Signet for turn 3 into Smothering Tithe on turn 4, I think. So let's go top and top. Viscera Seer aggressively swinging in towards the Eldrazi player, and we see an Accursed Marauder, so screwing up the tutor immediately. Charming Prince goes down, we want to get in as many creatures as possible preferably, and preferably keep Merrin out of play so we don't keep seeing the edicts over and over. A Tarnished Citadel now, another means of generating colourless mana into a Talisman of Curiosity. Faldorn is the first commander to hit play. And I think we are getting down the Orzhov Signet this turn. Let's drop the Urza's Cave. Hopefully we don't see, we don't see an Ancient Tomb there, because that means that Merrin's only on turn 4. So we've got time to get down Smothering Tithe next turn, and then hopefully Ketramos into some means of exile for a commander, such as Merrin. Nature's Law will fix the colours for Ulalak. Kerr Keep for 2 mana and a tap makes a 0/1 token, and the 3/3 swings in at Merrin, so yeah, that aggressive Accursed Marauder might have painted a target on Merrin's head, but we're about to get down Smothering Tithe, so I think we might draw attention away from her. So we'll drop our land for the turn and get straight into the Tithe. Green mana is being held up all over the place, so it might not survive very long, but we'll get the removal out of their hand regardless. Hopefully draw into a land next turn so that we can, or at least make a treasure, so that we can go Ketramos into Skyclave Apparition. We do see Merrin on turn 4 as we were expecting, so he'll get the Accursed Marauder into hand at the end of the turn, which is something we'll have to play around. 1/1 turns back in at Faldorn, who can block with a token, but he'll probably want to leave the token in play. Alright, does that in response. Good that our opponents are being quite predictable so far. Ugin's Binding is going to bounce an on-land permanent, so gets rid of our Smothering Tithe. We got 2 treasure from it at least, so let's see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 mana next turn. I'm wondering if we should go for Parallax Wave to slow down Merrin instead, but we'd need a creature in play to dodge that Accursed Marauder. There's a Maze of Ith here as well to keep from being attacked. Escape to the Wilds is a nice means of card advantage. They've got until the end of the next turn to play these. So it's Mosswort Bridge, they can play an additional land, Boseiju and Zakenzen from the same cycle, Kogla and Yadaro, and Hugs I haven't seen too much of. Instead played a Tiger from hand, curiously. So is he after holding up that mana for some reason? We know he doesn't have Worldly Tutor anymore. Now then, we draw into Glorious Protector. Alright. I think we just set up again with the Smothering Tithe, and maybe it's Nature's Claim that he's holding up, but we can force him to use it, and then we could crack Urza's Cave for an Urborg if we get into another treasure, so I'll try and do that. Let's go Smothering Tithe, fix our black mana a little bit better, and hopefully we'll be ready for drawing into the Cabal Coffers. Well, we haven't seen the Nature's Claim yet if he is holding it up, so it looks as though we're going to get a Smothering Tithe token. Sakura Tribe Elder, one of the all-stars in Merrin. He'll get his first experience counter here. Plays and cracks the Steve, and he did play the Accursed Marauder. We don't have to worry about that here, so the commander is going to go down. This dodges tokens, and we'll get another counter on it, so probably reanimate Steve at the end of this. Bouncing that Smothering Tithe is really playing into the hand of Merrin here, but if we keep Merrin as a threat, it does buy us time at least. Oftentimes a gamble, but I think we can usually get the balancing act. We can do quite well with it most of the time, so yeah, the Accursed Marauder gets sacrificed, and the Commander does as well. 3-4 in at us, 1-1 down the middle. Maze of Ith, we'll remove that from play, so not going to be dealing damage to us. Remove it from the command zone even, so Ulalek wanting to protect us for whatever reason. Reanimates the Tribe Elder at the end of the turn. Kozilek's Unsealing is an enchantment. Whenever you cast a big creature spell, create a couple of Eldrazi spawn, and an even bigger one will draw you 3 cards. Was thinking instead of cracking the Urza's Cave, we could try and dodge the Edicts by getting down 3 creatures, our Commander, Apparition and Lauren next turn, and Lauren now has a good target to get rid of the Unsealing because we don't want them drawing cards into this. Hugs is the card he decides to play from exile, so X is 1 for that, has 1 mana floating, and exiles off the top a Tempt with Discovery, so he has until the end of his next turn to play that. Plays a Boseiju and a Sekenzan from exile, so now has 3 mana floating, into a Myth Unbound. Whenever your commander's put into the command zone, draw. So now round to our turn. The only card he's got access to in exile next turn is Tempt with Discovery. And alright, there's a Planar Void. We have to be careful with this because we can go infinite, and that's an infinite nombo for us where we constantly discard and draw to our commander. But it's really good against Merrin, this one, so we might have to play it. Let's throw out our commander first of all. Then I think I want Skyclave Apparition. We can draw a card to that because it's exile based. And I was thinking of going for the Glorious Protector on this turn, because our commander only cares about things getting exiled on our turn. But now we've just drawn into Planar Void, which I think is too good to leave in hand against Merrin. I'll get rid of the commander. So maybe it's Lauren, blow this thing up and get down the Void. See what we draw into here. We might not exile something because he can sacrifice with Viscera Seer. He allows us to exile, so we lose a card, or we lose a life and gain a card. Gives us access to another round. We need to keep our board intact. The commanders ended up back in the command zone. So let's go for the Lauren. Does this have trample? This is a 5/5 trample we can't block with. Just thinking of going for Kaya. Yeah, Kaya wouldn't be the worst here, but I think I just definitely don't want our opponent drawing cards and gaining mana into this. So we will go for that. And I'd also like to keep the Skyclave Apparition in play. I'd rather not sacrifice it into the Accursed Marauder. We can sacrifice Lauren into that. So blow this thing up. And then let's get down the Planar Void and hope that we don't set up a nombo with that. Should be sacrificing Sakura Tribe Elder in response to that on the stack, but instead decides to allow this into play, or allow the Planar Void into play. So when this is sacrificed, it will be exiled now. We might do it at the end of our turn and draw us another card. Archfiend of Depravity. That is at the beginning of each opponent's end step. They choose 2 creatures and sack the rest. Alright, so we want rid of this as well, ultimately. We've got until the end step to get rid of it, so maybe Parallax Wave or the Kaya can remove that one. I'm just wondering if we do... Oftentimes you have to say no to the tempting offers, but with Tempt with Discovery, I'm wondering if to say yes to it, because he's only got 3 or 4 cards in hand next turn. He could draw a card with his commander. Yeah, I'm wondering if to grab the Cabal Coffers and then grab Urborg with this and start generating even more mana. Anyway, the 1 ring comes down to give protection for a turn and draw a card to that as well. This thing's indestructible. We can get rid of it with the Apparition. He can draw a bunch of cards here, but he doesn't have the mana to go with it at the moment. He could always draw into a bunch of ramp though, is the problem. Does manage to make a land for the turn. Plaza of Heroes now in play. Hasn't cracked this Polluted Delta yet, curiously. If we get into another treasure token here, we can hold up Glorious Protector, so best not to pass priority through this turn. Yeah, tempting offer. I think we are going to grab Cabal Coffers here. There is a Field of the Dead over here, so he's going to get a bunch of tokens if we all say yes to this. So we'll grab the coffers and we'll be able to get ourselves the Urborg with the Urza's Cave next turn if we want to. A Phyrexian Tower over here. Argument to be made for a Searching Up Reliquary Tower for no max hand size so that we don't get the Nombo with Planar Void. But we all go for a land, and Eye of Ugin. Players don't... I always pointed out that you should say no to this, but players don't tend to on Magic Online, so I'm not going to be the one left behind with it. And it was the right call here again. So grabs himself a Kessig Wolfrun, a Shifting Woodland, and a Temple of the False God. Triggers the Field of the Dead a bunch of times as well. Planar Void triggers on the sorcery hitting the bin, but won't trigger our commander because it's not our turn. Adds to the number of cards in exile though, which means we'll be able to attack him with Ketramos soon. Aftershock destroys an artifact, creature or land, which is unusual for red, so gets rid of the depravity. And that is another creature that's going to go into exile. The 5/5 turns in towards us, so we could go for the Protector and exile that with the Skyclave Apparition in response, but I'd rather be drawing cards when we do stuff like this, so we'll just take the damage. It's not commander damage or anything. One attack with Ketramos will gain most of that life back. Alright, or we could maybe still exile it, because Kessig Wolfrun being tapped out here gives it a buff of 1 or 2. Yeah, X is 1 on that, so just getting an extra point of damage through. So again, we'll just take the 6 damage here. Go down to 33. Okay, there's a Plains for us, which means we can play a land this turn into the Urborg, which means we've got more swamps effectively. So let's just activate Urza's Cave immediately. Planar Void will exile the Urza's Cave from our bin, which will draw us a card, and this is where it can get dangerous if we're not careful. Have to be careful not to draw too many cards. Had 2 chances to grab Reliquary Tower here. We've got Thought Vessel in the deck as well to avoid the Nombo. Draw into another land for next turn. And the client's lagging, so hopefully I don't make a misclick at some point. Throw out Urborg. That comes straight into play tapped with the Urza's Cave, which is why we grabbed Urborg with the Cave, and Cabal Coffers can untap this turn. So now we've got 6 lands, which means Cabal Coffers is 6 mana, plus the 4 is 10. So do we play Kaya here? I think we're fine to play Kaya. Kaya could actually exile the One Ring. So -3 on that, and like I say, can get rid of the One Ring. That will draw us another card, Ketramos, which cares about seeing every piece of exile. And Felia, okay, so we can't go for this and a 4-drop. I'm thinking just Parallax Wave at the moment, because we can do the fade counters at instant speed. There is a combo we can do with this, but I'm not going to play around the fact that we might draw into a combo at some point. So let's get the Parallax Wave down, and that should help protect our Planeswalker that we just got into play. We'll remove 1, we'll get rid of the Trampler now, just for the sake of drawing another card. We can actually exile our own creatures underneath it as well, and then once we've removed enough from this, they'll all come back in and get the ETBs. Another land, okay. I think it's actually worth exiling the Sack Outlet here as well. You might sack it in response to get a Scry, even though it gets exiled from the bin with Planar Void. That does go underneath the Parallax Wave, so we'll draw a card again. Alright, a Leyline of the Void is another Planar Void sort of, so we've got enough creatures in exile to start attacking him with Ketramos, although there's the Maze of Ith to consider, which can now tap for mana by the way, thanks to us. So let's go to the left with Ketramos, and the other 2 can go down the middle. We can always draw with Lauren as well if we want to, but I think we can do that. Yeah, we can do that at instant speed. Tries to block with Sakura Tribelder, our commander does have Menace. Maze of Ith used on the Lauren, so not untapping it, but removing it from combat. So we haven't left back too many blockers, but we're likely going to have access to Glorious Protector to untap something, and we can always do shenanigans with Parallax Wave to bring creatures back in untapped as well. It seems as though Merrin is just holding off for as long as he can until he sees the back of Planar Void, but we have now drawn into Leyline of the Void as well. A Green Sun Zenith, where X is 6, searches out a 6 mana green creature, and that is a Bane of Progress, so takes out a bunch of our stuff here, so we're not going to be able to protect our commander, I don't think. Parallax Wave, do we want to do anything with? And it's going to go down anyway, might as well take down tokens with it. So we'll exile our own Skyclave Apparition, and a token will come down under this player's control, I think. Will it be a 4/4 for the one ring? I can't even remember now. Oh no, there was no token generated there. Do we want to flick a Lauren? I don't think we particularly care about blowing anything up with Lauren. We could get rid of this, but I think I'd rather just see fewer bodies. So I'll get rid of a token, and another token. Bane of Progress blows everything up. Oh, I actually could have floated 2 mana there and got down the failure. Yeah, I should have done that with the tokens, the treasure tokens we had. Right, so Parallax Wave on the stack first. Playing our Void, going to exile a bunch of stuff. But we don't have to worry about that Nombo anymore. We'll get down Leyline of the Void as soon as we can. I'm glad I fixed the mana a little bit with Cabal Coffers. Parallax Wave brings back the Hugs and our Skyclave Apparition. I want rid of the Trampler, so we'll go for that. They could always dump all their mana into Kessig Wolfrun to give Trample. Noteworthy, this is a 10/10 as well, thanks to all the stuff it blew up. Yeah, might be relevant that we can't flicker anything with Failure anymore. Tatyova in the Ulalek deck is an odd one, but might finally crack this Polluted Delta into it. So they'll get landfall and draw a card, gain a life. Went for a Surveil land, so can put something in the bin here. Throws away a Delighted Halfling. Another land being played into Field of the Dead. There's a Thespian Stage here. We're seeing some lands matter stuff, which is going to be tricky to deal with. Going to deal with Kaya here. We could encourage them to dump mana into, where is it? The Kessig Wolfrun. They've got 3 cards in hand. I don't want to lose the creatures, to be honest, so we'll just let Kaya go. It's going down regardless. The only difference is whether they have to put mana into it. Get through to our turn again, and another land. We had a lot of land stuck on top. I don't think I want a tap land here. Let's just go for the plains. I'm not even going to bother working it out. Didn't draw a card with Lauren either. Tap down Cabal Coffers. Gives us 7 mana. So we could go for 2 into X on another round. And then hold up Glorious Protector. Yeah, I think that's what we have to go for here. Although there's nothing to blow up with the Lauren. Yeah, maybe we just have to go Leyline of the Void then. So not holding up Glorious Protector, but Leyline of the Void and another round. Yeah, let's do that. Merrin pausing on that. So X is currently 2 on another round. Oh, and I didn't hold priority on the Lauren. Forgot to draw a card with it. Oh well. We're not going to be able to play anything we draw into here anyway. So just exile Lauren and the Skyclave Apparition. And they are flickered, so Ketramos draws us a card even though 2 cards were exiled. And we'll do the same again to get more ETBs on the stack. And a 3rd time. We get it the once and then we repeat it 2 times. So unfortunately, Lauren not doing anywhere near as much as it might have done. Oh, actually. Have I done this wrong? There's weird ways of doing this. Depending on how they word it, it can be destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment, or you may destroy an artifact or enchantment. And I thought I had to target this and then say no to it. I'm hoping that that's the case. I don't think it is. I think I just had to not target anything with Lauren. I think I'm blowing up Leyline here. Because if we see here, choose up to 1, I cannot choose the Leyline and then say done. Oh, that's annoying. I don't think Leyline's going to survive here. Ketramos will just put on the stack. And then we'll put the tokens on the stack from the Skyclave. And then Apparition can go for... It's only got 2 targets, so we'll go for the big one first. Then the small one with Viscera Seer. And the small one with Viscera Seer again. Yeah, there's no may on the wording of Lauren, so I really don't think I can say no to it. But at least if the Leyline goes down, we'll see the sack outlet get exiled. Unless he wants to put it under the Apparition. Probably safer under there, actually. No, decides to scry instead, so it gets exiled and puts another trigger on the Ketramos. Draws us into a swamp finally. Steve does go underneath the Skyclave Apparition, another land. Wow, we need to really stop drawing into these. A 4/4 token enters over here from the Badger. There's a 1/1 over here. And then we'll draw our 3 cards from the Commander. Winds of Abandon should be good next turn. And just even more mana. And yeah, we're not getting the option with Lauren, so we do have to blow up the Leyline here, unfortunately. The right thing to do would be to have not targeted it at all. Like I said, there are other effects where it comes in, you target something. If you've got no other target, you go for something of your own and then just say no to it. So that's a misclick from me, but it keeps Merrin in the game at least. We've still got Bajuka Bog to draw into, and we got rid of his sack outlet, which is the scary thing. Just going to hold back blocks at this point because we're playing the control game and really dragging the game out, but had to clear a bunch of mana off the top in order to actually get into some game finishing stuff. Toxic Deluge going to wipe the board here, so that will bring back the Sakura Tribe Elder. There's a 10-10 left in play, it'll be a 6-6 at least. But yeah, nothing we can do about that. Noteworthy, he could use this to sacrifice the illusion token and gain an extra mana. I think his commander costs 6, but decided against that. We will put our commander in the command zone. When our Skyclave Apparition went down, it took the illusion down with it. Of course, the card stays in exile with Skyclave, doesn't it? So Steve in the exile zone still. A 6-6 goes in at us, as you would expect. Might be that we eat a damage, or a lot of damage from a Kobold token. They could put this into play and then dump all their mana into the Wolf Run. Eldritch Evolution gets rid of the 6-drop and can tutor out an 8-drop. Grabs himself a Protean Hulk. So that's why he was holding up his sack outlet. And this is where we get punished for accidentally getting rid of Leyline of the Void. Noteworthy as a reminder. So he grabbed himself another sack outlet, and Phyrexian Delver can reanimate the Protean Hulk. And now he can sacrifice Protean Hulk and he probably just combos off here. So cracks Protean Hulk again. Grabs himself a Machaos the Unhallowed. So can sacrifice the Phyrexian Delver, bringing it back with Undying and reanimating the Protean Hulk again. We were just having a discussion in the meantime in the comments because we were seeing what we consider late game. I think that turn 7 at the very earliest is late game, but typically turn 8 onwards would be the late game. And that would dictate in this new bracket system when you can go infinite with your 2-card combos. It is turn 8 now, so I'm not complaining about this guy. It's my own fault for getting rid of Leyline of the Void. But he says he's not going infinite here anyway. Protean Hulk has come back into play. Does have a plus counter, so won't benefit from the Undying. Or maybe it has already come back from Undying. So Grey Merchant of Asphodel and Sylvan Safekeeper is a means of giving Shroud. So we go down to 14 there. He can sacrifice Grey Merchant with Undying. Got Devotion of 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8 at the moment. So sacrificed it. Took us down to 6. The middle player 21. The Gruul player at 20. Sacrifices Protean Hulk again. Grabs himself a Dorothy Voidwalker, ironically, exiling graveyards. And Yawgmoth, Physician, another sack outlet and a means of refilling his hand. Sacrifices the illusion token to the Yawgmoth to draw. Puts a minus counter on the Delver so that he can sacrifice it to Undying again. He'll be able to do the same thing with the Grey Merchant of Asphodel. So sacrifice the Voidwalker in order to put a minus counter on the Grey Merchant as well. So that comes back in with Undying, and I dare say he can just win the game from here. Sacrifices Grey Merchant, brings it back in with Undying, and that will get rid of us. His devotion at the moment is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 and 12, so yeah, just does that once more and gets rid of all the other players. Feel bad about the misclick there, or the misunderstanding of Lauren specifically. Shouldn't have selected the Leyline in an attempt to say no to it. And the fact that we got rid of the Leyline allowed Merrin to go off on the win here. But we weren't really drawing into anything. We weren't drawing into our means of closing out the game, so I don't know how much longer that game would really have gone on. This is more of a control build, and so you are going to just inherently drag the game out longer, but actually drawing into your finishers is where you're going to struggle, I think. Hopefully you're not too upset about the misclick there. I know some people just go into a fit of rage in the comments when they see a mistake like that, but we make mistakes like that and we learn from them. No one ever got really, really good at anything by never making any mistakes. No one ever learned anything, not by making any mistakes either. So that is an intricacy with Lauren that you have to look out for, apparently. And you can learn from the mistake I made instead of doing it yourself on Magic Online. Something you could avoid in paper quite easily, I think. but on Magic Online these misclicks really are the difference between life and death. And we ended up dying to Merrin in this one, so hopefully you all enjoyed it. If you want to see more from Ketramos, I'm not sure if we're all still interested in this, because there are now 3 different sets being spoiled during the first fortnight of this set's release. But if you do want to see more from it, then let me know in the comments as ever. Big thank you to the patrons for their financial support as well. You can do so yourself via the link in the description below. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.